Nick Stoberl has the longest tongue and it measures 10.1 centimeters, 3.97 inches from its tip all the way back to the middle of the closed top lip. Nick Stoberl's father was a huge fan of the band Kiss, and as a child, Nick would imitate Gene Simmons, and then he discovered for himself that his tongue was actually much longer than others. The next body part is the smallest waist, and the smallest waist belongs to Kathy Young, who was born in the year 1937. She's had her waist measured in two ways. The first way was with her corset on, and her waist measured 38.1 centimeters, which is 15 inches. And then her waist without the corset measures 53.34 centimeters. And the most surprising thing about this is that she's never had any surgery, nor does she eat any sort of special diet or exercise to maintain her waist. Next up, we have the longest nose. The longest nose currently on a living person measures 8.8 centimeters or 3.46 inches long. And this is measured from the bridge to the tip. The owner of the longest nose is Mehmet Özyorek from Turkey. Back in 2010, he appeared on TV, and that's when his nose was measured to be the longest. So, who has the largest feet in the world? Well, the current record for the largest feet is held by Jason Orlando Rodriguez Hernandez from the country of Venezuela. His feet measures 40.55 centimeters, which is 1.33 feet, and the other foot measures 40.47 centimeters, equal to 1.32 feet. And because of his mammoth-sized feet, he wears a US size 26. Are you ready to see the longest ear here? Well, this man, Victor Anthony from Madurai, India, has the longest hair coming out of his ears. His hair, when you measure it from the center of his outer ears, measures 18.1 centimeters or 7.12 inches. Before him was also a man from India by the name of Ranhakan Bajapai, who measured 13.2 centimeters or 5.19 inches.
Next up at number 5, we have Brahim TAKIOULLAH. Brahim TAKIOULLAH, hailing from Morocco, stands at a remarkable height of 8 feet 1 inch. However, his claim to fame goes beyond his towering stature. Brahim also holds a title for having the largest feet in the world, with a shoe size of European size 58. Finding appropriate footwear becomes a significant challenge for Brahim, as you could imagine. The rarity of his shoe size means that it is not readily available in regular shoe stores, and this unique situation further adds to the difficulties that he faces due to his extraordinary height. Brahim, like other extremely tall people, experienced the effects of acromegaly, which is a pituitary gland disorder, and this condition causes excessive growth and enlargement of certain body parts. Vino Millerin comes next at number 4. He's recognized as one of the tallest men in history, and he reached an impressive height of 8 feet 4 inches. At the time of his passing in 1963, he held the title of the world's tallest man. Notably, Millerin served in the Finnish army, making him the tallest recorded soldier in history. His remarkable stature and military presence have left a lasting legacy, marking him as an extraordinary individual whose physical attributes made him stand out in history. Like literally. Coming up at the number 3 spot, we have John Carroll. John Carroll, famously known as the Giant of South Buffalo, was an extraordinary individual standing at a towering height of slightly over 8 feet. When factoring in his curved spine, his height extended to over 8 feet 7 inches. Alongside his remarkable stature, John faced the challenge of a pituitary gland disorder. Despite his physical handicaps, he was widely recognized as a wonderful, happy person. Occupying the role of a park superintendent, he became affectionately known by the locals as Big Red, owing to his distinctive red hair. John's admirable resilience and ability to navigate his demanding medical condition with grace earned him a lasting place in the hearts of those who knew him. Coming down to the number 2 spot, we have Vikas Uppal. Vikas Uppal, widely recognized as the tallest man in India, possessed an extraordinary height that continued to increase throughout his adult life. As of the last reported measurement in 2005, he stood at a staggering height of 8 feet 9 inches tall. Although his height was not officially recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records, his remarkable stature garnered significant attention. Tragically, Vikas Uppal passed away in 2007 while undergoing an unsuccessful operation operation to address a brain tumor. His untimely demise marked the end of a life characterized by unique physical attributes and the enduring curiosity of those who were aware of his exceptional height. In at the number 1 spot, we have Robert Pershing Wadlow. He was known as the Giant of Illinois, and he holds the distinction of being the tallest man in recorded history. Born in 1918, Wadlow was diagnosed with gigantism, which is a condition characterized by excessive growth shortly after his birth. His extraordinary height surpassed that of both his parents by the age of 6. And in 1936, he embarked on a tour with the Ringling Brothers Circus, captivating audiences with his remarkable stature. His immense height took a toll on his body, and he required special leg braces to aid in walking. And he had also lost all sensation in his feet. At the time of his passing, Wadlow reached a final height of 8 feet 11 inches tall, making him a towering figure, of course, and he stands out in history quite literally.
Starting off at number 10, we have the PERRON family. In January of 1971, the PERRON family moved into a farmhouse in Rhode Island, where Carolyn, Roger, and their 5 daughters began to notice strange things happening. Carolyn would find things had been moved around, scratched, and broken with no explanation. Later on, beds would rise off the floor and objects would be tossed around the rooms. At one point, a seance was conducted, during which Carolyn PERRON became momentarily possessed and spoke in tongues, while her chair rose from the ground and her body was flung across the room. Strangely, the family continued to live in the house until they were able to move in 1980. All right, up next, we have the case of Dr. Richard Gallagher and Julia. In 2008, a board-certified psychiatrist, Richard Gallagher, declared that his patient, known only as Julia, had experienced a case of possession. Julia claimed to be the queen of a satanic cult and was convinced she was being attacked by a demon. Gallagher met with her and ruled out mental illness when he observed Julia enter trance-like states, items flying off the shelves in his office, Julia speaking in tongues, and blurting out private details about his life that she couldn't possibly have known. Julia was eventually exorcised, allegedly spewing threats, levitating, exhibiting super strength, and influencing the temperature of the room. All right, our next case is that of Anna Eklund. Anna Eklund's possession spanned several decades, beginning in 1912 when she was just 14 years old. Anna's demonic possession was reportedly the result of a curse put on the devout Catholic in 1908 by her father and her aunt Mina. The first exorcism performed on Eklund in 1912 was successful for a time, but Eklund would be possessed again by even more demons in 1928. Her second exorcism, which lasted 3 sessions, was held at a convent and was so grueling it resulted in the deterioration of Anna's body. The demons were eventually exorcised and Anna went on to live her life, get this, with only milder possessions after. All right, up at number 7, we have the case of Clara Germana CELE. Clara Germana CELE, a 16-year-old student, was allegedly possessed in the late summer of 1906 after making a pact with the devil. Clara's behavior began to become erratic and intensified, with witnesses claiming that she developed a strong aversion to holy objects, tore at her clothes, talked to things that weren't visible, and growled like an animal. She also gained knowledge of other languages, levitated up to 5 feet off the ground, exhibited superhuman strength, and relayed personal information about others that she shouldn't have been able to know. 2 priests performed an exorcism that lasted 2 days before she was freed of the demon. All right, up next, we have the strange case of Michael Taylor. After Michael's wife accused him of cheating on her and described his behavior as increasingly erratic and socially distant, Michael lashed out violently at both his wife and his alleged mistress. His terrifying behavior increased in frequency and intensity, and it was decided that Michael would be seen by priests. Following a full night of exhaustive exorcism sessions, the priests claimed they had pulled upwards of 40 demons from Taylor, but that several still remained inside him and they just sent him home. Well, upon his return, he violently ended the life of his wife and the family poodle. He was eventually picked up by police after wandering the neighborhood streets for hours soaked in their blood.
In at the number 5 spot, we have the SATERE MAWE. Residing within the Brazilian rainforest, the SATERE MAWE, they represent a tribe of hunter-gatherers. Their reputation is marked by their aggressive conduct and the practice of cannibalism. Undoubtedly, the SATERE MAWE rank among the most dreaded tribes worldwide, and their notoriety is stemming from the combative behavior and their cannibalistic customs, like for real. While the SATERE MAWE predominantly subsist on fruits, vegetables, and other natural produce, they also partake in meat consumption, including that of human flesh, like I mentioned. And according to their beliefs, the consumption of human flesh grants them enhanced strength and authority. So stumbling in their territories could actually be fatal for outsiders. Recent years have witnessed reports of the SATERE MAWE targeting and taking the lives of loggers and miners who have encroached upon their land. In at the number 4 spot, we have the Vanuatu land divers. If you seek a tribe that exudes true terror and sends shivers down your spine, well, the Vanuatu land divers are a top choice. Originating on the island of Pentecost in Vanuatu, the sport of land diving continues to thrive, deeply intertwined with the local culture. Annually, courageous men and boys ascend towering wooden structures that reach heights of up to 30 meters. And with only vines securely fastened to their ankles, they plunge head first, relying on the vines to halt their descent. Okay, these daring divers, they serve as integral components of religious ceremonies believed to bestow good fortune and well-being upon the villages. While land diving may appear very dangerous from our perspective, it's relatively safe though. The construction of the towers prioritizes safety measures, and the calculations behind the vine ropes ensure a gentle landing. Nevertheless though, summoning the courage to take that leap of faith requires great fortitude, of course. Coming up at the number 3 spot, we have the Dogon people. Residing in the Central Plateau region of Mali, Africa, the Dogon tribe thrives there. This tribe holds a distinct belief system centered around Nomo, which is a collection of spiritual entities credited with the creation of the world and all living beings. The Dogon, they also uphold a tradition of donning masks, serving as a means of connection with these spirits. Regrettably though, the Dogon inspire fear in many due to their association with black magic and their alleged involvement in human sacrifices. On top of that, their practice of polygamy involving multiple wives further contributes to their classification of one of the most deadly and fearful tribes around the world. Coming down to number 2, we have the KOROWAI tribe. Now, if you're looking for a tribe that definitely invokes true terror, this is the KOROWAI tribe. They do it for sure. This tribe is situated in the southeastern region of Papua in Indonesia, and they have gained notoriety for their engagement in cannibalistic practices also. The discovery of the KOROWAI tribe occurred relatively recently. In the 1970s, their way of life remained largely mysterious. However, what little we have gathered indicates their belief that consuming the flesh of their enemies gives them increased strength and power. In a tragic incident in 2009, a German documentary filmmaker lost his life and became a victim of the KOROWAI tribe rituals during an attempt to capture their customs on film. Ending this episode off at number 1, we have the AGHORI tribe. The AGHORI tribe instills profound fear, ranking among the most dreaded tribes globally. Their reputation is deeply rooted in their unsettling rituals and practices of cannibalism. Residing in India, the AGHORI tribe claims lineage to Lord Shiva, but their numbers remain very few though, and they comprise only a few hundred individuals. Nonetheless, their reputation is enough to intimidate even the most courageous person. The AGHORI firmly believe that consuming human flesh brings them closer to Lord Shiva, while also granting them strength and power. Their aura of dread extends beyond humans, as it's said that upon AGHORI's arrival in the village, barking of dogs, reverberates in alarm. Like the dogs go crazy for real. In addition to that, the AGHORI are known for their very dark actions, such as drinking from human skulls and also employing human bones as weapons.
First up, we have Mariana Naumova. She's a Russian teenager and she is the top teenage girl in the world when it comes to bench pressing. When she was 16 years old, she lifted 330 pounds and that set a world record in female powerlifting. But not only that, she has 15 world records under her belt and she's achieved the title of the Master of Sports of Russia international class. Here we have Yang Jinlong from China. Back in the year 2012, when he was just 7 years old, he made headlines all across the world when he showed off his ability to pull a car using just his muscles. And at the time when he pulled this car, he weighed 110 pounds. He's also known for carrying and lifting up his father that weighs 200 pounds, which was almost double his own weight. In the United States, we have CJ Center, and at just age of 10 in 2011, CJ Center was known as the Workout Kid. He adopted that nickname after his workout routines were posted on YouTube, as well as he began to sell fitness DVDs. He was given the title of MVP for his 8 and under football team, and by the time he reached the age of 10, he began his successful fitness business. The next little powerhouse in this episode is Giuliano Stro. Giuliano Stro is a Romanian gymnast as well as a child bodybuilder. Back in 2009, he was recorded in the Guinness Book of World Record after setting a record for the fastest ever 10 meters hand walk with a weight ball between his legs. He's since then been called the world's strongest boy. Meet Jake Schellenschlager. At the age of 15 years old, Jake Schellenschlager was able to lift upwards of 400 pounds. Jake is just one of the thousands of teens that compete all across America, and he started training at the age of 11, and he's since won the World Championship title for squat lifting. The next youngster is American powerlifter Naomi Kutin, and she has set a number of powerlifting records. Naomi has been powerlifting since she was 8 years old, and Naomi is also the main subject of a documentary called Supergirl. Naomi, who's an Orthodox Jew, says this: "In school plays, I get stage fright, but I don't have stage fright in powerlifting, even if I'm in front of hundreds of people." We visit Russia again to meet Andrei Kostash. He's a 13-year-old Russian gymnast and bodybuilder, and he also participates regularly in martial arts and other sports. He rose to fame when he was 7 years old and completed 4,000 back-to-back push-ups in 2 hours and 29 minutes. But if you think that was great, he had later claimed that his personal best was actually 6,000 consecutive push-ups. Kinda hard to believe, but hey, anything above 100 consecutive push-ups deserves a big round of applause. Introducing the world's strongest toddler. That's a title given to Liam Hoekstra. Liam Hoekstra has a condition that has him put on double the amount of muscle than other people. At just the age of 3 years old, Liam had 40% muscle body mass, and he far outperformed any of his classmates in sports. He really has a passion for hockey and he loves playing. Now, although he's known worldwide, Liam chooses to focus on just being a regular kid rather than showing off what his rare condition allows him to do. And here we have probably the youngest person to start training, Veria Akulova. When she was just 18 months old, she participated in the circus, and by the time she was 4 years old, she was lifting 56 pounds. And then when she reached 5 years old, she was able to lift 196 pounds. Her parents are both performers in the circus, and they all perform together as a trio. She's made it into the Guinness Book of World Record for powerlifting, which includes lifting more than 4 times her own body weight back in 2006 when she was just 14 years old. And here we have a brother and sister duo. In 2013, Dylan and Jessica Best appeared on the TLC show The Strongest Family in the World, where their parents, Nick and Callie, as well as 11-year-old Dylan and 5-year-old Jessica, shared with the audience that they spent up to 240 hours per week working out. Dylan and Jessica train far above the recommended weight for their age group, but their father, Nick, says that they really love it and just can't get enough of it. And if that doesn't get your butt inspired to hit the gym, then I don't know what else would.